Hey, welcome back. I'm May. Today I am working on a dress that is inspired by the La Reunion patchwork dress. I loved the idea of using a lot of my scraps, these things I've been collecting for a couple years and leftovers from other projects. This dress retails for $435, so I thought maybe I could make one for a lot less. The dress comes in lots of different styles, but I am definitely drawn towards the more neutral ones, so I picked up all of my beige, cream, brown, earthy fabrics. I do have a few florals in here. I thought that would be fun for the top portion of the dress. It's going to be quite the mixture of textures, patterns, colors, but I'm hoping they'll all work together pretty well. So here goes nothing. Alright, starting off by taking my measurements, taking my bust measurement, my front neckline, my straps, the top tier, and then the full length divided into 3 different tiers. Mapping everything out, I've got my top tier, a little bit of a lower back. My bust is measuring at 36 inches. I'm going to add 2 inches of seam allowance, which brings me to 38 inches in width. Got a 9-inch front neckline. And for my strap, I've landed on 24 inches. 7 inches plus a 1-inch seam allowance for the height of my top tier. Moving to tier 2, I'm going to take my bust measurement, multiply it by 1.5 to give me the width of my second tier. Again, adding seam allowance for 62-inch width. For tier 3, again, I'm taking the original width of tier 2, 60 inches, multiplying it by 1.5, which brings me to 90, plus 2 inches of seam allowance. For the length of the whole dress, I landed on 45 inches, adding 1.5 inches of seam allowance and hem allowance. I'll show you in the next slides how I divvied that up between all 3 tiers. If you wanted to get the full volume of the La Reunion dress, which is shown in a lot of the photos, I would recommend multiplying your original width by 2 and then your second tier width by 2, just to give you a more full look. I personally didn't have enough scraps and yardage for this, otherwise I would have made a more full dress. But if you want that, make sure to multiply it by 2 or even 2.5 for even more volume. Now to divide all of my sections, my panels. I landed on 6 panels for the top tier and divided that by the full width. This is my very top tier, 6 pieces that are 6.3 inches wide, 8 inches high. So the width is going to be the full width of my bodice, which is 38 inches. So just divided that by 6 panels. This is my top portion. This is my middle tier, and these are 15.5 wide by 17 high. Again, all the seam allowance is included. I'm going to sew these together lengthwise. This is tier number 2. Alright, this is the 3rd tier, and I landed on 6 different panels. They are 15.3 inches by 23.5 inches high, so that's with all my seam allowance added. I'm really excited. This is my biggest tier on the bottom, so I'm going to serge these and then sew them all together. Last but not least, the straps. I cut these out at about 3/4 of an inch by 24 inches. These are going to be my straps that go underneath the armpits on both sides. This is the front 1 inch by 9.5 and then 1 inch by 13.5. This will be my back portion, which I want to swoop a little bit. Okay. Top panels are all sewed together and it's feeling just a little tight, so I might add another small panel just to make it a little more breezy. I added 2 inches of seam allowance, but it just wasn't quite enough. I added another 3-inch panel, and I think that'll be like nice. So this will work. This is my entire panel all sewn together. I'm taking the entire width, which is 18.5, finding my midpoint, which is 9 inches and 1/4, and popping a pin right in the center. Taking my neckline measurement and popping a pin in each side of that. On each underarm, I measured down 1.5 inches, popped a pin in there. I really need to get a proper chalk pen, I just haven't. And I cut from that 1.5 inch mark all the way up to my neckline measurement. I'll fold that over to mirror it on the other side. And then I'm going to cut out the low back. Again, I found the midpoint, measured down about 2 inches, and then cut a half circle with the piece of fabric folded in half. Now to add the binding. I'm going to add it to the inside of the dress. Same thing with the back neckline. I'm going to attach these with a 1 centimeter seam allowance, and then fold it twice towards the good side of the dress and sew that on, sewing as close to the edge as I can. Those are done, and I have attached one strap. I'll show you how I did that on the other side. Again, inside of the dress, I'm going to put the right side of my strap with a tiny bit of a fold right under the armpit, making sure this is laying flat. Overlapping the raw edge, it's going to get covered by the clean folded edge. Pinning all along the underarm and sewing with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Always have a pin in my mouth, even with the pin cushion right on my arm. This is how the top's looking. I'm loving how flowy it is and how all these fabrics are looking together. Now working on tier number 2, I'm just overlocking all of the raw edges. I've sewn all the panels together lengthwise. Next step is to create our gathering stitch for the second tier and attach it to the top tier. I might first sort out what part I want to be the top. So I was very particular in picking out how I wanted the top to look and like all the blocks. So I like seeing more than 2. Oh, I'm loving all these fabrics together. I'm like obsessed. So I'm thinking of the white. Yeah, I really like this. Unless I do it like this. So my gathering stitch. I'm so excited. It's coming together so quickly. Here's how it's looking with the second tier. I do think I'm gonna take the straps up and just sew them right there. So they're a little long. I'm loving the color palette so far. And then I'm gonna add the last tier. Third tier is all put together and serged. I'm going to create the bottom hem down here, and then I can gather it and add it to the rest of my dress. I'm very excited. I am in love with this dress. I am so excited with how it turned out. It's amazing, it's comfortable. I love that I could use all my scraps. I think it looks like the pictures, and this doesn't always happen, so I'm really excited. Just a few notes to leave you with. Some things that I would have changed if I were to do it again. I would definitely shorten the straps. I went back in and shortened them about 2 inches, and even still, I find myself kind of pulling them up, but they're way better than they were, and I'm not gonna go do that again. I might shorten it a little bit. I thought 45 inches was perfect, but then now as I'm wearing it, it kind of drags on the floor in the back because of the low back, and now I cut it. So bring that up a few inches. And then honestly, I probably would have not taken out the top portion. I added this 3-inch panel here, and now it's like a little too roomy. So maybe I should have done like 2 inches. I think that would have been perfect. If you were to make your own dress, take your bust measurement and add 3 inches to it. yeah, it's a little roomier than I would like, but it's still super comfortable, and I love how the low back hangs. I just love a low back. So overall, I'm super happy with it. I hope you liked watching along with me. I loved this project. It took me one day, so not a bad time. I don't know if I would make it again anytime soon, just because it was a lot of work to map out all of the little squares and how much I needed for each panel and each tier, but I've done all that work for you. So if you want to make your own, please do. Comment below if you do. Let me know or tag me on Instagram. I would love to see your creations. It's such a fun dress and a fun way to use up your leftover fabric pieces. Thank you so much for watching this video. It helps to grow my channel and allows me to continue doing what I'm passionate about. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Mindful May for more sewing videos. Until the next one, cheers!